Hi, my name is Eve, and my story animated will give $1,000 to one lucky person who subscribes in the next 7 days. Tell your friends, your sister, brother, and mom to subscribe now. You see, I was born to a crazy single mother who had absolutely no idea about who my dad was. She was an ex-model and mostly hung around rich men who could meet her expensive demands. One time when I was 3, she left me alone at home to go out partying with her friends. I left the house and went to the neighbors and spent the night there, and Mom didn't have any idea. On my first day at school, I said to Mom, "Mommy, wake up! It's my first day at school." "School, huh? Who are you? Go away. Let me sleep." Yeah, I dropped myself to school on the first day and every other day because she always woke up in the afternoon. It was pretty much like I was raising her and not the other way around. Well, that was pretty much her routine until my 10th birthday. She suddenly barged into the house with a big box in her hand. Surprise! OMG, she remembered my birthday. I ran to hug her when suddenly she stopped me and said, What are you doing? Trying to ruin my dress? Stay away and listen. I have a big surprise for you." With that, she showed me the rock-sized diamond ring on her hand and told me she was gonna marry a billionaire. I thought she was being funny again, but to my surprise, she indeed got married and we shifted to a pretty big mansion in the city. But I was the happiest about finally having a dad. He appeared to be a nice, humble man. Once he ripped his pants, but then he just sewed a patch on them himself. "Oh, darling, why don't you just get a new pair?" "Oh, honey, you know I don't like spending much on myself. It's fine." I was touched by his simple way of living, something Mom knew nothing about. My only issue now was my stepsister, Olivia. She was a year older than me and looked at me like she'd eat me alive when we first met. "Hi, I'm Eve. I hope we get along well." But she just ignored me and left. What was wrong? For days, I thought she was mute, until one morning I heard her shouting at the top of her lungs. "I told you that woman was after your money, but you never listened to me." She was talking about my mom. I rushed downstairs to see what was happening. She took all the money and jewelry and everything else she could get her hands on. What? Mom had run away, leaving me behind? I was devastated and burst into tears, but then my stepdad hugged me. "Oh, sweetie, don't cry. You're gonna stay here with us." "Oh my God, you're so sweet." "You're gonna stay here until I get back every single penny of all the $20,037,576.03 that your freaking mother stole." What? He was keeping me as a mortgage for his money? What a psycho! I tried to talk my way out of the situation, but he was such a cheap creep. You know my mom would never come back for me. She doesn't care for anyone but herself. "Then I'll make you work instead. I will make sure I have my money's worth back from you." Gosh, what I thought was his simple way of living turned out to be his cheap way of living. He literally licked the food off his plates and drank the last drop from the milk carton to ensure nothing was wasted. Ew, that expired last month. So what? I paid for it. He was a total psycho. No wonder his daughter was so annoyed all the time. I really wanted to get along with her, but for some reason, she always avoided me. "Hi, Olivia. Do you want to have breakfast with me?" "No." "Olivia, do you want to go shopping?" "No." "Olivia." "No!" But I didn't even say anything. Whatever. Now I was just worried about all the work I'd have to do to repay Mom's debt. I felt like Cinderella, only this time it was the stepfather. But then I had an idea. Every time he'd ask me to do something, I'd make sure to cause trouble. Once he asked me to clean the house, and I picked up the most expensive vase that he owned, and boom. Oops. "I'm sorry, it slipped." He went completely nuts and started shouting like a mad dog. "Are you kidding me? That was so expensive. Forget cleaning. Go do something else." He made me switch hundreds of different chores before he finally realized that there was nothing I could do without endangering his precious things. And now I was free to do whatever I wanted, except for leaving the house, which wasn't too bad. But I missed going to school. My stepdad had hired a teenage schoolboy, Tim, to tutor Olivia and me at home in order to save the expensive school fee. Tim was 2 years older than me and such a cutie. I had a huge crush on him. The next few years, I spent all my time learning from him, and we grew quite close. On my 14th birthday, he even bought me a cake. My first birthday cake ever. I was so happy that I hugged him.
Eve, I have a surprise for you. Let's go out and celebrate.
Go out? You know I can't. Stepdad'll kill me if he finds out I'm missing.
No one will know, I promise. I'll get you back before he returns. Trust me.
I could have jumped from Mount Everest if he asked me to with that look on his eyes. So that evening, we sneaked out of the house and he took me to a special place to surprise me.
Open your eyes, Eve.
The zoo? He brought me to a zoo on my birthday to surprise me. What was he thinking?
How do you like it?
Yuck! I hated it, but I had to pretend like I was amazed and excited by his surprise. I love it! I just can't wait to go in and watch all those animals. Imagine what it'd be like to see those sexy, hairy monkey legs up close. Yay!
Huh, I knew you'd love it, 'cause you can actually relate to them so much, right?
What? Relate to them? Did he think of me like some animal stuck in a zoo? All that time, he just kept yapping on endless information about all these animals that I couldn't care less about. By the time we reached home, I was so done with all the animals on this planet. And Tim.
Hey, Eve, I just want to say, it was an amazing day.
Yeah, whatever. This was it. I could no longer stand this weird place and the stupid people in it. I climbed up the window and packed all my stuff. But while I was climbing down the window, I heard some weird noises. I thought I was gonna get caught, but what I saw next shocked me. It was Mom climbing out of the window below me. Mom? What are you doing here?
Susie? What are you doing here?
You forgot my name? What's wrong with you?
But I still recognize you after all these years.
That's something.
Oh, my baby.
No. Mom, stop. We both fell to the ground in the bushes. What are you doing here?
I'm here for you, baby.
I don't believe you. And what do you have in this bag? Cash? Jewels? Money?
No,
clothes.
Who do you think I am? A thief?
Yeah. Suddenly some lights turned on in the house, and I hissed to Mom. You tell me why you're here, or I'm gonna shout, and your husband will definitely send you to jail.
Oh, no. Sweetie, I'll tell you. I found your dad.
OMG! My dad? My real dad? You're not lying, are you?
Of course not, honey. Have I ever lied to you? Okay, I swear on all my money.
It was hard for me to digest the fact that Mom had come back just to make me meet my real dad and risk it all. But what if she was right? I had to see for myself. So we smoothly sneaked out of my stepdad's house and got on a plane. I was so excited. When I stepped out of the cab, my jaw literally dropped. This house was even bigger than my previous home. Is this where Dad lives? Are we gonna live here now? He's not cheap, is he? Oh no, he's an amazing man. When we got into the house, I saw an old man walking with a stick. I ran and hugged him. Hi, Grandpa! I'm so happy to finally meet my dad's side of the family. Oh, no, honey. That's not your grandpa. That's your dad.
What?
He couldn't be my dad. I looked nothing like him, and he was already around 80. I pulled Mom aside. Mom, how can this guy be my dad? Do you have any proof? Oh, honey, don't you believe me? Of course not. I didn't believe her, but then the old man came to me and said,
My daughter, you've grown up so much. I feel so sad that we've never met earlier.
And saying that, he hugged me tight. I could literally feel the warmth of his love. He was such a nice person. Well, even if I wasn't his daughter, I felt like I could just keep him company. The next few weeks were the best. We played, talked, and laughed together, and I literally felt like the happiest person on earth. Then one day, he told me that he was gonna put all his money and fortune under my name. No, you cannot do that.
Why not?
Because I'm not your daughter. I was afraid this might give him a heart attack, but what he said next almost gave me one.
I know that.
What? You know?
Yes, of course. That woman, your mother, I've never seen her in my life. She thinks she's fooling me, but the fact is, I don't mind it.
Then why are you doing this?
Oh, Eve, I've never had any kids or family. I was always so busy with work that I never married. Now I have all this money and these riches, but no one to share them with.
But why me?
Because you're a nice person. You've been through so much, and yet you had the courage to speak the truth and refuse all this money. I admire you for that, and I'm even more convinced now that you deserve all this.
Oh, Dad! I hugged him tight. Finally, I had a person who understood me and loved me. I had someone I could call family.
It's okay. You can call me Grandpa if you like.
Of course, I continued to call him Dad, and he was the best dad ever. And Mom, she didn't get a penny. Dad passed away by the time I graduated school. With his inheritance, I opened several old age homes all across the country and donated the rest of the money to charity. I sold Dad's mansion and bought a cute little house, which is always full of good friends, laughter, and warmth. Things that money just can't buy.
Hello everyone, I'm Caroline, and I'm excited to share my story with you, despite it being a bit hard to talk about. You see, in reality, I actually hate sharing things about myself with others. It's hard to explain, but have you ever felt like you just didn't like being around people, and even seeing them or talking to them gets on your nerves? Well, that's exactly how I feel every single day. You might be thinking, what a cold-hearted girl, right? But trust me, it's not like that at all. Stay with me, and I'll explain everything to you. My story begins with my parents. Like most people, my parents dreamt about sharing their world with a child and building a beautiful family. I was their little baby, and that is why I was spoiled. Like, embarrassingly over-the-top spoiled. Looking back at old photos, I could see that my parents had given me every single thing I had ever asked for. However, all of these things were just materialistic. The truth was, they never made an effort to focus on my personality and interests. And this is where the problems began. Up until I was in first grade, life was pretty peaceful. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so I never had to go to kindergarten before starting school like all the other kids. Because of that, I never really socialized with other kids. So you can probably imagine the nightmare I went through when I started school and suddenly had to deal with all of these other people. I had to listen to every single child screaming and being hyperactive. I was in complete shell shock. And on top of all this, an older kid approached me and he tried to hold my hand. He smelled so bad and his hands were dirty. I got scared and pushed him away and started hysterically crying. I made such a scene. And shortly after, my mom arrived to pick me up and took me home. On the way back home, I was shaking uncontrollably. I was traumatized. I thought to myself, that school was a place that I never wanted to go back to ever again. My mother didn't quite get what was happening. She was so confused. You might be thinking that I was being overly dramatic, but the truth is I really hated it there. And after that incident, it didn't get any better. Of course, my weird behavior seriously worried my mom, and it just got worse when the school counselor called her and said that if I kept failing to engage with the other kids, the school would need to take some measures and investigate if the reasons for my odd behavior were because I was coming from an unhealthy home. They were even suspicious that I might have been getting physically abused. That really put my poor parents in an awkward position. A position where everyone thought they were mistreating me. My parents started blaming themselves for my social awkwardness and my lack of interaction with people. It was such a difficult time. My parents had done nothing wrong in raising me, and they were just absolutely clueless about why I was acting so strange. One evening, my parents and I were having dinner in peace when suddenly we heard a loud knock on the door. They were knocking nonstop. The noise was unbearable. I remember hiding behind the couch and covering my ears with my hands. When my dad opened the door, a police officer came in and said that my school's counseling committee had assigned him to run a surprise checkup to make sure I was doing okay. However, when the policeman saw me, I looked anything but okay. Anyone who saw me in that state, hiding behind the couch, cowering in fear, would have been extremely worried about me. That night, my parents were arrested and forced to spend the night in custody, and I was taken to a little room and questioned by child services. They asked me so many questions, and I was very uncooperative. Hours turned into days, and eventually they began to realize that this wasn't about my parents, and that I was just a strange kid who was quite simply afraid of everything. After that, people started talking. Rumors were going around about my parents, but most of the gossip was about how much of a weird child I was. The child who caused her parents to spend a night in prison. Unfortunately, I hated myself since I was a little child, and I hated being this weird and awkwardly quiet person, and it never went away as I got older. In fact, with time, that became my sole identity. The weirdo, quiet girl. I even used to believe that I was a bad person. I mean, if I was a good, decent person, then why hadn't I just let the social workers know that my parents had done nothing wrong? It felt like the whole world was against me, and it continued in this way until I became a teenager. I was never able to express myself, talk to people, or socialize in the slightest. I was just totally awkward all the time. Imagine feeling like there was no place you could go to when you felt sad. No place you could retreat to feel safe from the world. I felt so completely out of it. I just didn't fit in anywhere, it seemed. There was no place for me in this world. These dark thoughts haunted me all the time, and I couldn't escape from them. However, one day, I found something that gave me comfort. I started drawing, and it helped me empty out some of the negative energy I had stored inside me. Getting involved with art started helping me tremendously. Even my mom had noticed how much I enjoyed it. She encouraged me to continue, and after a while, life stopped being that harsh. In fact, lots of things got much better. I was making art and people were appreciating it. Not only my parents, but also my art teacher who expressed great admiration for my work. I finally felt like I belonged, like I'd found an outlet to express myself through. My paintings and drawings started attracting a lot of attention from everyone, and my school started displaying them in their art gallery. The more people liked my work, the more I felt I fit in. Eventually, I couldn't stop. I spent every waking moment painting, and some nights I didn't even sleep. I just painted all night long. A local gallery in our town asked me if I'd be interested in running an exhibition, and I agreed. I didn't realize the mistake I was making, though. I spent weeks preparing for it. I completely isolated myself and painted non-stop. When the day of the exhibition came, my mom took me to the gallery to set up. And as people started arriving, I started panicking. That's when I had my first panic attack. I don't remember much of what happened next, but I just know I fainted and my parents had to take me home. The exhibition I'd spent so long preparing for went to waste. I didn't even get to be there for the opening. My parents were seriously worried now. The doctor contacted my school and had them give me some time off. They said I'd had some kind of burnout and needed to rest and recuperate. For the next month, I spent all my time in bed. I didn't even paint. I just surfed the net and slept. One day, I decided to look up my symptoms, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. Why hadn't I done this earlier? It explained everything. According to the search results, I had autism. I was devastated. I'd always known there was something wrong with me, but I didn't think it could be something like autism. For the next few weeks, I just lay in bed in the dark, feeling miserable. Pretty soon, I also stopped eating. I didn't want to do anything anymore. Life felt hopeless. I was so weak I could barely even walk to the bathroom at the end of the hall. One day, my mom forced me to go for a walk with her out to the garden to get some fresh air. On the way downstairs, I fainted. My mom rushed me to the hospital, and they ran a bunch of tests. They made me stay overnight so they could monitor my health. One of the nurses was really kind to me, and I found myself opening up to her. I told her that I had autism, and she looked very surprised. She ran off to get a doctor. They came over to me and assured me that I definitely did not have autism, and that other than a weakened immune system due to lack of nutrition, I was perfectly healthy and that they just wanted to keep me in for a few nights to monitor my eating habits. started talking to her about my art and how I felt awkward around people, and she said she felt exactly the same. Soon we realized how much we had in common, and I went to sleep that night smiling. I finally had a friend that understood me. It was the best feeling in the world. The more I got to know Celine, the more I felt I belonged. She made me feel that I wasn't so strange after all, and that just because I'm not the most social person on the planet doesn't mean I'm any less of a person. It's honestly crazy to think I've gone all these years identifying as a weirdo, when in actual fact it's just my personality and I'm just different from other people. We can't all be super bubbly and outgoing. I wish I'd met Celine earlier when I was a kid. But then again, sometimes we need to go on these self-growth journeys alone, and better late than never, right? Here's to friendship.